I think everything starts with Coast to Coast Connect. We created this free platform for business owners to be able to collaborate and work together. It makes a huge difference. It all comes from LinkedIn. So, anybody wants to connect with me on LinkedIn, please do. I'll send you guys over an invite to it. But from there, like it's finding your ideal audience in that online world. It's building those strategic partnerships and then proving that proof of concept to be able to work with them on a long-term basis for their own LinkedIn campaigns in the future. So Coast to Coast Connect every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern. So for all our Texas buddies there. And yeah, like we'd love to have everybody come in. Tim's always in here, so like always going to be bright faces and like we're going to get down to the deeper parts of business. Like talk about it, make it real. Take the masks off and ourselves and just really embrace that if we're working together across the board, it's just going to be a win-win for everybody.
Welcome to your new podcast Optimum Ideation with the host and Bridges. Idea interviews. The best of human ideation. Everyone has a superpower. But times are hot, many are in the darkness of their own mind, in need of a helping hand. Helping others to become whole.
Are sponsoring brands.
Third-party people, NFT Fashion, TGC Fashion, MarkPoint.
Enjoy the show with today's guest,
Brent Keough.
All right, welcome everybody to Optimum Ideation podcast. Today is one of my favorite people of this year that I've met. He's with the full Prism Group, and he hosts with his wife the Coast to Coast Connect each Wednesday. For me here in Texas, it's a 1 to 2 p.m. deal. But Brent, he's a really great guy, and he's got some great sales tips and pointers that I think could really help a lot of different people. And he's really looking to help others grow their networks and of course promote his businesses. But we're going to get into it today.
Thanks for having me, Tim.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, of course. We're going to get into it, and we're just going to go right into the first question here. What is your story, your resume, and how did you get to here?
Yeah, so I grew up in this island that I live in now, which is Newfoundland. I left this place about 20 years ago, and I pursued, I was like the kid that was on the outside. I didn't go for the formal education in this world, and I went into the door-to-door world, but I wanted to get into sales that was something that was heartfelt. So I chose the nonprofit sector back then. I could really get behind charity because, when you go out there and talk about making a difference, people look at you differently than the vacuum salesman or the gas guy that knocked on doors. So we came at it from a very different branch, but I was taught in my early stages in my career about things like the law of averages, how to pitch people, how to overcome the major objections in what people are going to overcome, which are things like money, time, the trust, the accountability. That's the biggest thing that a lot of people look at when it comes down to the sale. And I spent 10 years in that door-to-door, business-to-business, street marketing world, and we were taught a system where we have to go out and talk to 100 people a day, find 2 people to say yes to us. But when we did it in 28 locations across Canada and 50 to 60 representatives daily doing it 6 days a week. So we practice pitched. We went and we learned our pitches inside of that. We went from the point where like we stopped pitching and we just started having conversations with people years later because people didn't want to hear the pitch anymore because they were pitched out for years of the door-to-door salesman. And then I left the door-to-door world when the Ring doorbells really became popular. A lot of people could see beyond the door and they're like, okay, yeah, he looks like a salesperson, so I'm going to say that I'm not home. There's a lot of barriers that like really prohibited the salespeople from really going out in that door-to-door world. And I saw the charity world going online. And I love that because like we work with some organizations like World Vision where when we started, it was 1 in 10 Canadians knew about it. And when we left, it was 1 in 2. Because we went out there every single year and banged on those doors in the rain, the snow, the sleet. And we just had a militant mindset because was what we have to go out and accomplish. And I mean, 10 years, we got 200,000 kids sponsored around the world. And
Wow.
like that's about $750 million that we raised in 10 years.
Wow.
So like we learned that like the system works as long as you believe in it, you follow the positivity in this world. I always believe that you have to know your why, otherwise, why are you doing it? And like I left it because I knew that the internet was going to make it better because people like Ryan Reynolds can come out on Sick Kids and be a lot more handsome than me knocking on your door and get a lot more traction. So I left that world. I got into the startup world. I was working with a Canadian company that was basically, it was compared to Angie's List on steroids. And I spent a lot of time with the thought leaders across North America with many different industries, from the pet sector to the wedding sector to the construction sector to the professional service sector. And I spent every day talking to 30, 40 business owners. And that was 6 days a week for the next 7 years. So like you imagine like the amount of people that I spent in front of. And then 2020 hit and the lockdown happened and I went to LinkedIn. And I never thought I'd go to LinkedIn. I was always that person that's like, get me in a trade show, get me in a networking
Yeah.
group, get me in front of an audience of people, and I'll get things happening here. I'll get people communicating with each other. I'm not the guy that like hides in the corner and waits for everybody to start talking to me. I'm just up there.
Yeah.
And I looked at LinkedIn as one big door knocking campaign, and I had all these years of being in front of people under my belt. So I used LinkedIn as the pivot, and because of it, I mean, we met,
Yeah.
and I met a lot of people across North America, across the world that I never thought I'd ever meet in my life. But because I've opened up that option and was never afraid to knock on that door, I just have that opportunity presented in front of me, and I said, if I can do that so easily, why can't I build a bridge of communication between the business communities across Canada, across the United States, across Mexico, across the globe? Because we're all working together and striving to be better, working smarter, and that's why things like Coast to Coast started existing, because I realized that the tools were all put in place. You just need to have the messenger to go out there and just talk about it. And I just become the messenger. And then for the full Prism Group, it's really focusing on the systems when it comes down to the sales process. And I do LinkedIn lead generation. So I'm getting in front of people and I'm showing business owners, just like I trained salespeople 20 years ago, how to go out and talk to people and get that sale. And I think that's the most important thing in this world is like you're an owner of your company, just like myself, but I'm also a sales professional, right? I'm out there selling myself every single day. I'm out there talking and solving problems within the market. And that's the way we have to be in this world now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a large shift for everybody, and I appreciate your approach. And when you approach me, it's kind of like, we get approached so much on LinkedIn these days. And
Yeah.
so you kind of look at everybody like, okay, well, what does this person want now? And in your approach, I never really felt that way. I felt like you were straightforward, and I'm a very straightforward person. So,
Yeah.
so it's like, okay, he's straightforward. I was like, I'll go to a meeting, and then I just find, hey, well, this guy's kind of like me. He's who he is. He's just trying to get his
Yeah.
business out there. Well, what can we do together?
I took a lot of constructive criticism in my early days in sales. And like you meet strangers at the door. When you talk to 100 people a day, you're going to get constructive criticism, whether you like it or not. You're at the door, and chances are you got some person that's right beside you at your training. So
Yeah,
like you have to take it with a grain of salt, with a smile on your face. But like as you walk down the driveway and you go to the next door, you reflect on it. And
yeah,
if it becomes a pattern, you either change it or you just blame it on everybody else. So like it's so you're like, okay, I got to be real with myself here. Like, am I just going to create another hurdle for myself, or am I just going to like bury that burden, bury that barrier? And that's what I learned in my career was like, I just got to be more real. I like just ask questions, get to know people, like
yeah,
be the person that you want to be, or the person that you can imagine being the best person in that
yeah,
room with yourself. Like if you're a genuine person, there's loyalty that starts happening with that.
exactly.
So, and that's the way I look at it. Like I'm a loyal guy. If I'm
Yeah,
working with somebody and I believe in what they do, like I'm all in.
yeah. Well,
I'm
me
all in.
too. but I feel like it's so hard to like find other people that are on the same wavelength, and so whenever you do, it's kind of like, is this person on the same wavelength or are they not? And then it's like, yeah, we are. So,
Yeah.
um, you know, but
But you gotta put your feelers out there. Like
yeah,
it's one of those that like I believe in my gut instinct. That's the way I've always seen it. Like if I believe it, like I'm gonna go with it. And nine chances out of ten, it's gonna work for me. And the other that 1 out of 10 chance, that's a learning experience.
yeah,
That's allows me to sharpen my skills a little bit more for the next person.
yeah, very
That's
good,
the way
man.
I see it. Just like your pitch. Like, I used to always say to salespeople years ago, I was like, if you look at a chef that spent 10 years in the kitchen, the knife is an extended part of their arm.
Yeah,
Like you don't know where the knife ends and the hand begins, right? And I
right.
said when it comes down to sales, it's their words. I said you got to sharpen your words. You got to be aware of what you're saying out there. You got to be aware of like how that's going to impact the future relationship of yourself. That can impact the whole chain of your network growing or dwindling
Yeah,
based on how the conversation is. So like you tend to look in the mirror a little bit more, and and that's one thing in sales I've always taught people is like you got to look at what you're saying. You got to be aware of that, and like you got two ears and one mouth, so listen twice as much as you talk, and
yeah,
you'll figure it.
man. Very good stuff. Let's move to the next question. What is the you know, what layers did you have to remove to become who you are?
Out. Many. I'm still removing them. Like that's the thing. Like if you feel that you're perfect, that's a losing game for you. I've been peeling back my layers since I started sales, and it was all based on like learning from mentors and being the mentor and learning from the mentees, right? Like it's one of those humbling experiences for you. Or I had a mentor that I always compared it to like a forest fire. Like you look at an acorn. Like an acorn can only seed if it is in immense heat and the seed explodes and like the outside of it, and then the seed will vary, and then you have a better forest afterwards. And he's like, that transformation in ourselves, sometimes it's like that. He's
Yeah,
like, and like, it just takes that immense pressure, that immense heat for you to actually explode. But like once the dust settles, like you're gonna be stronger.
yeah,
You're gonna come out of it like you're gonna be better. And you just that like I've been doing since I started sales, and I'll continue to do it until I bow out. And hopefully I've got enough of this knowledge passed down to everybody that they can just take it and run with it. Because I mean, I follow my philosophies from day one. Like there's a thing that I learned called the 8 steps to success. And this was like day one on a piece of paper on a bus route, like in Toronto, where he wrote it down, my mentor, Joe. And he said, the first 2 steps is have a positive attitude, maintain a positive attitude. Step 3 and 4 is be on time, be prepared. Step 5, step 6 is work a full day, work your industry correctly. Step 7, take control. Step 8, know your why. He said,
good.
you follow those 8 steps every single day. He's
Yeah,
like, and you'll be successful. And I still follow it,
that's good.
right? Like because I believe in it. And if I stop believing in it, like I couldn't because it's ingrained in me.
Yeah,
Right. So like the foundation is there, that like that's that original layer of the onion that'll always stick.
yeah,
But like I'm always shedding it back. I'm always looking for the more empathetic way to sell over the emotional sale.
yeah,
Right. Looking for ways that we can like strategically work together versus trying to pitch a service.
yeah, yeah. That
You
was
know?
kind of the next question is, what's the next layer for you to remove? But I think you got it though.
um well, I really believe in globalization when it comes down to business communities. I live on an island. We just moved. We're in a town of 1,400 people. Town called Gander, literally the crossroads of the world, they call it. So like I like that philosophy, like where I'm at the crossroads of this world. Like I'm right at it's 6:30 p.m. here right now. Like I'm ahead of all you guys, but
Yeah,
like I'm just a little bit behind the rest of the world over in that Europe and that.
yeah,
So like I like being in the middle of all of it and being able to guide people in that right direction. So coast to coast, really going on a global front for the full Prism Group. It's really like we've evolved that company over the last couple of years. It started out with my wife as a bookkeeping business, and then when I came into it for sales, like that. that adaptation like just was always there for me because I always traveled. So like I was ready to just jump right into the next startup company and then scale it. So now we've systemized everything and I'm looking at scaling. I'm looking at going from a 30,000 foot view, more mentorship, more community development in this area of the world too. We want to open up a co-working space in the future too.
Cool.
So like yeah, so like I know a lot of transient workers that happen in this world. There's a lot of Americans that come to this area of the world because it's beautiful and they don't need AC up here in the summertime. So it's I see a large shift for like working and enjoying your life as well. So I want to adapt to that more and I'm gonna come at it from like that host, like the like really getting out there and bringing back the community aspect to it. So I
Good.
think it's going to be more enlightening for me.
Good. Good. Oh, that's good. We may have touched on this a little bit, but what trials and tribulations have you been through?
Um, I think like, and this is a big thing. Like, I believe I've talked with you. I've talked to other people about for mental health. You know, I've been through things like anxiety and depression since like diagnosed it since 16. I just turned 37, so 21 glorious years of that. I learned to find more humor in it, like to be able to talk about it. It just makes it easier. But before it was more, I became the workaholic, and I was really a workaholic, like 16, 18-hour days for years and years and years. And like I
Yeah.
never took a Saturday off.
Yeah.
That was how it was. And I just found that was normal. And it was like, it was that badge of honor that you had to hold. And I just, I had so much confidence, but for the people that I worked for, like I just gave up the power to them. Right. And like I had to learn that like I have to like hold my own reins
Yeah.
and take control of that and understand that the tough times, the winter depression is going to come as well, and just prepare yourself more for it. It's a big setback, and for any business owner out there that goes through the ups and downs of it, they can attest to that, and that is a big trial and tribulation because if you can't get out of your head, how can you conquer things?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. So like, by talking about it more, like I can I can pinpoint when it's happening. And
Yeah.
when you become more aware of that, like you just step outside and you're talking to yourself versus like giving into yourself to that
Yeah.
situation. Right. And it's like when we talk about networking and I bring up these questions that get more deeper into like the problems of businesses. Like I want to normalize it,
Yeah.
right? Like, but once you normalize it, it's like, huh, it's not such
A
a
monster. Yeah.
challenge. Yeah, it's not such a mountain that you have to climb now, right? Because you've seen people that have gone up and down it with their hands behind their back,
Yeah.
right? And you build that confidence, but like, it's still gonna come, and that's still some of my trials and tribulations. And I don't take medication for it because it stunts the skill of a sales professional. And anybody
It's
that has that emotional awareness or like that hypersensitivity for people,
yeah.
they know that. And
Yeah.
like once that magic goes away, I just called it the kryptonite,
Yeah.
right? Where you become emotionless. And I was like, you can't sell and be emotionless, right? Otherwise, you're just selling for money, and it's a matter of time before you give up your soul to it.
Yeah. Very good, man. Very deep. I love it. Yeah. I've conquered this stuff my whole life, dealing with different anxieties and depressions
Yeah.
and to get to this point in my life now where I'm not drinking or drowning it out with anything, just facing it head on in the craziest time in our whole entire life and in anyone's entire life right now with the way this world is right now, and
Man,
just take it head on, and let's
you got
talk
to.
about it. Let's make something out of this. Let's show people that, hey, even though we're up here building, 6 7 figure businesses, that hey, we are,
Human.
we're conquering these things, and you can too, right?
Yeah. It's this whole Cortez burn the boats scenario, like for conquering the lands, right? Like we don't have to burn the boats. Like we can all work together and mend the bridges and keep moving forward, right? But like, it starts with us.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. Like if I'm not the best version of myself, how can I get people to be the best versions of themselves?
Yeah.
So
And if
like
no
that,
one's talking about it, then it's not even being addressed. And I don't feel
it
like
was
our
always there. The thing
yeah,
is, it's always been
yeah,
there. Like you look at it, like the past, and you see the way that people acted 20, 30 years ago and never talked about it. It's still the same patterns that we went through.
yeah,
It's just now we've acknowledged it, we
yeah,
become aware of it, and like
yeah,
we can fight it versus
yeah.
like ignore it, sweep it under the rug, let
Right.
the next generation take care of it.
Yeah.
Like we're the next generation. That's
I
what I
know.
heard when I was a kid was I'm supposed to take care of it.
Yeah.
So
Well,
if you
here
can't
we
talk
are.
about it, how do you take care of it?
Yeah, here we are.
Yeah.
Now, when did you become passionate about your focus?
For the full Prism Group or for Coast to Coast or in general?
Yeah, just this focus on where you're trying to get to, with all
My
this.
wife is a genius. Like she's a highly analytical person, but she's a very big supporter. Like she grew up a very different lifestyle than I grew up in. And she was given a lot of the abilities and leadership skills that like I had to spend years to attain. And she always said, like, we can build it. She's like, I just don't have the sales capabilities. And she's my wife. So like that's the biggest motivation out there. Like you better make sure that your wife is happy at the end of the day.
Right.
And but I saw her vision for LinkedIn and to create a systems process from one of our favorite restaurants. And this was 2 years before the lockdown happened. I didn't believe in it. And then the lockdown happened. And then I soon believed in it because I saw it. And
Yeah.
I was blind to it. So like my focus over that 2020, I'm like, if we're gonna be locked down for this foreseeable future, I'm gonna maximize on this
Oh
because
yeah.
like I'm
You
gonna
have
spend
to.
all this time with my wife every single day that I never had to. 2019, I spent 9 months of the year in the US
Yeah.
away from my wife from Toronto.
Oh,
Like because I was working for that startup. Now I spend 24/7 with her
yeah.
every single day. So like I know what her goals are, she knows what my goals are, and they just align. So
Yeah.
like all we got to do is just keep moving forward, keep building, keep getting to know more people. And like the focus just stays because you're constantly solving problems within your business community and
Yeah.
they become your family. Like, people like Selma, yourself as well, this became frequent for us.
Yeah.
Like these are people like I met Selma. You
Yeah.
interviewed her, I met Selma in
Yeah.
New Brunswick. Like we shared those moments together,
Yeah.
and like that's what I want.
Yeah.
That's what I want, like across the whole board. Like I want to
Right.
meet you. I want to
Yeah.
meet everybody,
Yeah.
and we got the capabilities. It's just
Yeah.
like we just have to keep putting the message out there.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
Very good. Yeah, I'm gladly going to promote you guys and do what I can.
Me too, man.
Um, who were your greatest contributors to your character?
Um, there's a lot. I mean, I like the thing about having mentorship in your sales career is like you meet some really cool people, and like the thing is we naturally match and mirror people, right? Like you probably got something that you have that you say, and you heard it from somebody else at some point or another, and it was just the little tidbits of gold like that I just picked from people all over the world that I just formed for myself because I just liked it.
Yeah.
And then like it's just being my own self. That's the big thing. It's like having that creativity, but like realizing like the moral compass is about every successful person I've met in this world is like they have a very tight knit community. They're very like care first. They're very community centric. Like they're about forward thinking. They want to be on the cutting edge, like this kind of stuff. And you see enough of those people along the way, like you see the patterns of success, and you're like, I want to be that,
Yeah.
right? And there's that saying like if you want to look at your success and like take the top 5 people that you spend most of your time with,
Yeah.
take their annual income divided by 5. That's how much money you make,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like it's like we are center of our influence, and we like if I like it, I'd like to talk more about it,
Yeah.
right? And then you research more about it, and then all of a sudden you become an expert in it just based off that tidbit of information that you accumulated at one point or another.
Very
So like
good.
I can't say it was like one set. Like I'm very thankful for everybody that gave me what they gave me over these years.
Yeah. 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 I mean, with everything that's happened over these past few years, I've really come to cherish like almost every single phone call. Like, and I've done thousands of interviews. And so, and while people are doing the worst in their life, and going through that, it's just like, you just become to like cherish the good people that you come across, and you
Yeah.
realize how rare it actually is that we're sitting here together doing this. And and I'll probably never forget these moments.
That's what it's meant for. When I knocked on those doors back in the day, like I met
Yeah,
some really cool people.
yeah, you
Like I
probably
got
still remember
stories.
some of them, right?
Oh, I do. I do. There's people I still like talk to this day
Yeah,
that I met like in passing in this world because like if there's somebody that's influential to me, like I can't just close the door to it,
yeah,
right? Like if my gut's telling me like keep in contact with these people, keep in contact. And if their gut's saying the same thing, it's like I always had the same. A stranger is a friend in disguise.
yeah, yeah. That's good. um Now, um when you first started, what has been something that was more challenging than you expected in this business?
Um, so my career or for the full Prism Group, I would just say for just for our company.
Yeah,
I think like when I joined the full Prism Group, I was meeting people 10, 12, 14 hours a day face to face in networking groups, trade shows, like jumping between states and provinces. Like I spent a lot of time in front of people. And then before that, I was in the door-to-door world. I had to adapt to like being on the screen. Like
yeah,
that was something that really took my like a spin for me. I was lucky enough that when I was starting the startup world for the company I was mentioning, that got me all over Canada, um, they got me on the phone, and I was petrified of the phones when I first started. And like I look back and I'm like, a person's a person, whether it's on the phone, in person, it doesn't matter. It's just as long as you can relate with the individual. But like I never saw it like that. So when I came on here, like it was just I was so used to being on the move, like going from place to place to place
right.
and jumping around. And now all of a sudden I'm in a house or in an apartment or wherever doing this 45 times a week and
Yeah,
doing networking events. And it was, I had more time in my hands than I ever had.
yeah,
And it was like, it was almost like scourging in the beginning because I felt like I wasn't maximizing on my time. But then I realized like you got to have a balance.
yeah,
Otherwise, like you're gonna burn out. And you can't fill like a cup with an empty pitcher.
yeah,
That's the thing, right? So if you don't take care of yourself, like what good are you 3 months down the road when you're burnt out?
yeah,
So like so I learned like like you have to take that extra time and put it into a balance
yeah.
of like things that you love, like going for those walks, getting out. Like I
Good.
enjoy the ocean versus like the urban jungle.
Yeah,
And then just like when you meet those really cool people, like bring them into the inner circle. Like really really get to know them. Like make it a mission to meet them at least once a month.
yeah,
Right, sit down with them and you'll find your mentorship. So like that was a big adjustment for me was like that. But I don't think I could go back anymore. That's the thing, like the like going to the trade shows. Like I'll go to a trade show, I'd love it, but like I think the next set of trade shows will be in a VR headset.
yeah,
That's the
yeah.
way
It
I
could
see it.
be. Yeah,
They're working on it.
yeah,
Listen, enough tech companies put it together. Coca-Cola gets a hold of it. That's it.
yeah. Well, maybe we'll build something like that. Who knows?
We'll see what happens.
What let's see here. Now you kind of touched on this. What practices or techniques throughout your day or week make it a success?
Goals are a very important thing in my life. I'm sure people that have spent time in sales, especially professional service industries, know what SMART goals are, and specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time bound. Like you've got to have goals for your business. You got to have goals with your team, right? You've got to get on the same page with them. So communication is key. Goal setting is very, very, very important. And when it comes down to the day to day, it's just we set up everything on ClickUp, so everything is task management oriented. So like we set our business on deliverables. Business owners should never be trading dollars for hours. So setting those deliverables and then maximizing on those time efficiencies. But to be able to do that allows me to get in front of more people. So like I'm maximizing on the bottlenecks, like, and then working with the team to be able to do what they love and the things that I don't like doing, because like I think we mentioned this, you can't do everything in your business because you're just going to waste your time on the things that you don't want to do. So
Right.
that's the biggest thing, like do what you love the most and maximize on it. There's this whole philosophy that used to always say eating the onion. You don't have to eat the onion when you have enough people that are hungry.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. I
You
like
know
it.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So build the team that's hungry, build the build, and you don't have to do the things that you don't want to do, but then focus on the things that you love the most, and it's still stuff that'll make you the most capital.
Good. Good. Um, now, if you ever write a book, you hadn't written a book, have you?
I've got a bunch of ebooks that I have
Okay.
over COVID that I did
Yeah.
for sales
Yeah.
processes. Yes, but
Okay.
there
If you ever
is
write another one, what will it be about?
customer service and deliverables. That's the biggest thing. There's a lot of sales marketing gurus out there that talk about that they wrote the book on sales and marketing, and they say that the gods get the sales. And I've learned sales over the years to a point where I don't do it for the money, and I know how to market myself because like you just have to make it pretty enough, and you have to be consistent out there and believe in what you do for people to buy into your sales or services. Um, when it comes that's the it's sorry, I just lost my train of thought there.
It's okay. Yeah. We're talking about the book.
Yeah, customer service and deliverables is the next step for sales professionals and marketing professionals. What I've heard time and time again from business owners is they invest their money into advertising. A lot of people don't have a clue how the sales and marketing world works. And they invest into it because they know it has to be done. And then 3 months later of ads, and they realize they don't know who their target market is.
Yeah.
So like it's sitting down with people and guiding them through that whole process where a lot of salespeople are good at having a quick tongue, getting down to the hard close, and then when it comes down to deliverables, you're trying to get on the phone with them and you can't get a hold of them. There's no communication anymore, and then you feel like a sitting duck.
Yeah.
So the confidence goes away, and then all of a sudden you're not working with that person 3 months from now. And then a lot of salespeople wonder why they lose their clients after 3, 4 months. Where customer service and deliverables, it's like my clients work with me for years because like I look at their business like it's my business. And like I look at every way that I'm going to make them successful with integrity versus, hey, let's go sell a bunch of people because they're desperate and this is going to be a plea to get them to buy into this, right? But when you focus on guiding them through that to a point where like we're asking them to meet with us more than they're asking us to meet with them, it gets to a point where the questions all get answered, right? And then once all the questions are answered, this process becomes streamlined. And we just keep delivering every single month over and over again. And that's what a lot of sales and marketing people don't do.
Yeah,
The
that'd
ones
be
that
very
read the
helpful.
books and that, they focus on how do I get them in the door and how do I sell them? And that's it.
Good.
So
Um, if you know, if people get to where they want to go because they know where they want to go, and then where do you ultimately want to go? And maybe you kind of already touched on this with your sit down shops.
yeah, I really like the idea. Like there's this whole nomadpreneur thing that's going around
Okay.
and I love it. I love the fact that like I can take a green screen anywhere in the world and set up shop and people don't know the difference.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of those co-working spaces are in the urban jungles where it's like it's just surrounded by concrete. Imagine having one by the ocean,
Yeah.
right? And that's where a lot of people are going to go to, and it's a lower cost of living, so it's going to be less. So like, but I'm going to attract a lot of those business owners in those doors from all over the world, and I'm going to bring them into these networking events
Cool.
for coast, right? Like we're going to keep the community growing. But
Yeah.
like I realized like I've got to do it on the ground as well as online.
Cool, man. I like that. Do you have a networking event, a book, product, service, or invention that we can help you promote to the audience?
Yeah, I think everything starts with Coast to Coast Connect. We created this free platform for business owners to be able to collaborate and work together. It makes a huge difference. It all comes from LinkedIn. So, anybody wants to connect with me on LinkedIn, please do. I'll send you guys over an invite to it. But from there, like it's finding your ideal audience in that online world. It's building those strategic partnerships and then proving that proof of concept to be able to work with them on a long-term basis for their own LinkedIn campaigns in the future. So Coast to Coast Connect every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern. So for all our Texas buddies there. And yeah, like we'd love to have everybody come in. Tim's always in here, so like always gonna be bright faces and like we're gonna get down to the deeper parts of business. Like talk about it, make it real. Take
Yeah.
the masks off and ourselves and just really embrace that if we're working together across the board, it's just going to be a win-win for everybody.
Very good. Yeah, and it's helpful information for everybody. You may have a pointer that somebody else hadn't thought about yet, and they may have one for you.
I think the biggest thing for everybody is if you come in with a question and I have an answer for it, I'm going to give you the answer.
Yeah.
I'm going to give the answer that I would use out there, right? Like a lot of that information in this world, people hold it lock and key. And a lot of it, like I've accumulated over the years to give away because it was given to me. So, right, when business owners come in and they have that aha moment and they realize that they're working with people that they want to work with, there's really no negativity in business anymore. It's just productivity and focusing on the future, right? We can enjoy our lives and be in our business.
What is the best way for the audience to reach you, support you, get in contact? So LinkedIn?
I say LinkedIn, yeah. Brent Keough. My wife is Leslie Keough McEwen as well, McKeown. That's the best way we can go. Just send me a message and say, hey, I'm interested in Coast to Coast. I want to network with you guys. I want to sit down and crack jokes with you and Tim. And that's that best way we can grow from there. Otherwise, like check out our website, fullprismgroup.com, coasttocoastconnect.com as well. We just revamped our full Prism Group website, so we'd love to get some feedback on that too. And yeah, like I said, every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Even if you guys search us on Coast to Coast Connect and follow us, we'll invite you guys to the future events.
Thanks, Brent. It's been good spending this time with you, and that concludes this episode. And we'll be sharing it here soon.
Awesome. Appreciate your time, Tim.
All right, brother. See you soon.
See you soon.
Third Party People Production.